If you are just tuning in, welcome. No decision from New Zealand First today. Winston Peters told the media that at about 10 to 5. If you have been listening since we came on air, then you will already know this. So no word from Winston Peters, no word from the New Zealand First caucus and board. In fact, the board are going home. Mr. Peters emerged at about 10 to 5 after another full day of talks, New Zealand First Board and caucus, the second day, of course. Despite the toing and froing already, as New Zealand First tries to decide which way it is going, whether it's going to throw its weight behind National or Labour, it seems Mr. Peters now wants to have some more talks with both parties. He described needing more details about some costings for what appear to be some of the policies that New Zealand First is asking for as concessions or as part of the coalition negotiating process. Prior to all of this unfolding, and we have heard from Mr. Peters twice tonight, prior to all of this unfolding, it was, well, the wait, the eccentric wait. Here's our political reporter, Craig McCulloch.
It's work in progress, but no, everyone should be confident. Soon the monarch butterfly will emerge.
New Zealand First MP Shane Jones comments this morning, inviting the question, does that make Winston Peters a very hungry caterpillar? And just how much does he want?
On Monday, he ate through one apple. But he was still hungry.
New Zealand First's board is now winging its way home after a second day of talks about whether to go with National or with the Labour and the Greens. But no consensus. Mr. Peters says there's still work to be done.
They've come to a consensus on policy work as far as we can take it, with some outstanding matters yet. But on the other issues, that is to be decided in discussions with the leader of, no doubt, the two parties.
On Tuesday, he ate through 2 pears, but he was still hungry.
Outside the elevators, reporters traipse in circles, waiting for Mr. Peters to emerge. His absence is even more pronounced compared to last week's ubiquity. Then, when he had back-to-back meetings with National and Labour, he'd appear as many as 8 times a day. Now, instead, we're left to interpret the cryptic comments drip-fed to us by his MP, Shane Jones.
There was a verse in the Bible. I think it's Proverbs 29:14. Have a look at it, Ewa.
If a king judges the poor with fairness, his throne will be established forever.
Now, he wasn't hungry anymore, and he wasn't a little caterpillar anymore. He was a big, fat caterpillar.
Others have moved in to fill the vacuum, voices from the past. Today, Peter Dunn with words of warning. The former United Future leader and minister believes whoever wins, National or Labour, the government won't last.
If they're talking about being leaders, people who can take the country forward, and their starting process is to remain timid about upsetting their likely partner, not a very good way to start a relationship.
They're on the back foot and scared, Peter Dunn says, of a party obsessed with only itself, New Zealand First.
It's all about it rather than what's in the best interest of the country, and you can't build a house that way.
He built a small house called a cocoon around himself.
Doing the media rounds this morning, Labour's leader Jacinda Ardern defended how the negotiations have played out.
We do need to make sure that we undergo this process properly.
Labour and the Greens have essentially sewn up their side of a potential deal, but as of this morning it appeared New Zealand First had yet to broach critical components with either major party. No talk of governing arrangements or ministerial positions.
People should take some heart by the fact that they're being dominated by the nature of the government that will be formed, rather than just simply around ideas of position.
Mr. Peters has promised the public will know his party's pick before the end of the week, and he says they're still on track.
Always was, yes. But of course that's in other people's hands, not just mine.
Then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, pushed his way out, and he was a beautiful butterfly.
Atu e te whare parimata mo te hotaka o te ahi nei, ko Craig McCulloch ahau.
12 minutes past 6. Well, the story hasn't ended happily ever after yet. As we heard from Jane Patterson and indeed Winston Peters earlier in the program, there really is now no time frame. It will take as long as it takes. So originally it was going to be last Thursday when the decision was made, then it was going to come into this week. By the end of the week now, no time frame affixed to a decision. Still unfolding. The board is going home.